So now I would like to welcome Mr. Elia Brodsky, one of the co-founder and CEO of Biotech, to talk about Omics Logic and how can we prepare the next generation of experts that bring deep insights from biological data using data science skills, and also how can we advance the experience these students have, placing them at the forefront of big data that continues to grow with increased complexity and scale. Mr. Brodsky has facilitated and managed collaborations with researchers at Stanford, UCSF, Louisiana State University, Tulane, and other academic and pharma R&D teams. Mr. Brodsky oversees the research projects and manages the development of the prototype, preparation of the relevant data projects, and implementation of the systems for the needs of students and teachers that the project is designed for. Now, I would like to pass on the stage to Mr. Elia. Over to you, Elia.
Okay, thank you very much, Sonalika. And again, thank you for everyone that was here up until now. So we're going to transition now from the previous presenters. We had great panelists and speakers from India. We had great panelists and speakers from Africa. And so now we're going to be moving on to the main part of the symposium, where we will be talking to a number of experts on the changing role of bioinformatics in research, industry, and education, continuing with the theme of today. So briefly, before we begin that, I wanted to thank all of the speakers, and we had great experts from all of these places. It was great to hear some of the insights that everybody shared. So just kind of some takeaways that I had from this. We heard about the pressing need to review, annotate, and improve data quality, both the ones that are available and future data sets that will be shared. So I think Dr. Raghava really highlighted the significance of publicly available data sets and the importance of involving students and other kind of stakeholders in being able to contribute to that process of annotation. We also heard about industry-driven education in Indian healthcare. So we heard how industry has a great demand for data science skills and skilled workers in a variety of fields. In India especially, this requires a collaboration, a close collaboration with industry. And I think it was really interesting to hear about all of that. We also heard from the Africa team about their efforts to address the gap, especially training biologists and addressing some of the pressing challenges in the African continent, including infectious diseases, cancer, chronic and metabolic diseases. So that was really insightful. And of course, we also heard from Dr. Anita Gansa from University of Ghana, speaking about the important work that they are doing in monitoring the diversity of the malaria pathogen and how that affects drug resistance, including the upcoming vaccination effort. So this was really a global perspective, I think, on the changing role of bioinformatics, but also on some of the upcoming needs in bioinformatics training and education. And so really thank you all for sharing all of those insights with us. So briefly, I know that many of you here today are already familiar with what we do, but in short, what we've seen up until now are some of the people that we partner with, including expert bioinformaticians and researchers in a variety of domains that essentially provide us with an opportunity to take publicly available data sets and turn them into case studies to allow students to explore and understand both the challenges that they present and practice the analysis path to essentially extract meaningful insights from complex omics data. And so the projects that we see are examples of how anyone can start applying bioinformatics in oncology, in infectious diseases, in neuroscience, and agriculture, all very pressing domains, not only in the West, but also in a lot of these countries around the world. Briefly, I want to also introduce that today with us, we will have an opportunity to speak and hear from experts. The first group that I would like to introduce are the Tauber Bioinformatics Research Center. So University of Haifa is where the Tauber Bioinformatics Research Center was established. Essentially, two goals that I understand that they are pursuing. One is to develop novel algorithms for multi-omics integration. And number two, to really make bioinformatics more accessible by making it user-friendly, by making it explained and logical to use. And I think that's a major gap in a lot of the educational, especially educational activities around the world, is that a lot of the focus in bioinformatics education is on technical skills. And unfortunately, technical skills are not the only skills that are important. We have this kind of multiple challenges emerging in the field of bioinformatics where there's a need for translational research as highlighted by the pandemic. We see kind of the translation of ideas that have emerged from experimental design in cell lines and tissues and animal models, and now reaching patients, kind of pressing need with patient health. We also see the challenge in data integration because so many omics data types have emerged and evolved over the recent years, because the data has become so cheap to generate in one sense, and in another sense, it can address so many different aspects of molecular biology. There's definitely a need for data integration. But at the bottom level, right, so kind of supporting the logic of bioinformatics are asking the right questions and finding answers using appropriate methods for data analysis. And so in that domain, I think it is very important and critical, some of the work that the Tauber Bioinformatics Research Center is doing. And so what they have designed is a platform called the TBionfo platform that combines multiple types of user-friendly analysis pipelines to integrate, analyze, visualize, and interpret some of these important data sets that are typically used in the domain of bioinformatics. So one of the exciting things that I'm looking forward to in a few minutes after my part of the presentation is to really hear about some of the new advances in the different types of omics technologies that also come with the need to develop and design new algorithms to process and integrate such data. And so this includes a range of new bioinformatics sections that are either being added or are planned to be added for single cell data analysis and integration, for analysis and modeling of cancer cell mutations, and also mathematical modeling for host pathogen interaction, as well as exciting new applications of mathematical modeling and simulation for a variety of challenges in life science research. So what we have done on our side at the Pine Biotech side is we have taken a lot of these sections and tools and methods that have been made in a user-friendly interface and connected logically, and turned them into educational modules that anyone can learn from, both being exposed to the topic domain, to the significance and the importance of that domain, to the pressing challenges in that domain, and with associated case studies and methods of analysis that could be practiced in a logical way as well as technical way. So one of those domains that we hear a lot about, and we heard already today, is the concept of personalized medicine. So this field has seen dramatic growth, and as a result of different types of molecular data, large-scale repositories of patient records, and many new computational technologies that now allow for fast processing, for easy analysis and integration, and importantly, the ability to ask very specific questions about patient health. And so while there's a lot of potential in this field, there are also many challenges that we will hear about today. And these include challenges to integrate multi-omics data, challenges and gaps in the ability to access different types of data and phenotypic data that is very critical for interpretation, and many different questions about the statistical significance and interpretation of found signals that cannot be exhaustively addressed using just experimental data. And so there is a need for mathematical modeling and simulation. And so we hope that some of the modules that we design are going to be an opportunity for students that see guidance and ability to enter into a particular domain like precision medicine to be able to effectively use bioinformatics and contribute to such areas. Another area that we will hear about today, and we of course have heard about for the duration of the past couple of years, is the emerging awareness of bioinformatics in infectious diseases. So that is something that the pandemic has really brought about to the awareness of the public. The general public today knows what is a mutation, what is a variant of concern, how does the virus evolve as we observe transmission, right? So a lot of interesting questions that from being kind of explored in the lab setting by only experts now is in the domain of the public discussion, of the mass media. And so that makes it even much more critical for anyone to understand what goes into the data that is being generated and analyzed and presented, what goes into the actual interpretation of the signals found in this data. And so I think that this is an important area for us to continue to explore. And what we have designed around these areas is a whole specialization track dedicated to infectious diseases, where we talk about the application of bioinformatics to infectious disease research and the understanding of host pathogen interaction based on viral infection, bacterial, fungi, and parasites. And so a lot of the examples that we have heard about, like malaria, a lot of the ones that we will hear about today, like COVID-19 and other types of viruses. Another interesting domain is, I think many of the people in the kind of medical domain don't really, or biomedical research domain don't appreciate maybe as much, is the area of omics and agrobiology, where there's a lot of technology that is driving this concept of precision agro-technology to address the need of global food supply, the changing climate, the need for more resistant crops that are going to be adapted to new regions. And so this area has been seeing a tremendous interest as well. And so one of the important challenges for us is to design modules that could address some of the pressing challenges and opportunities in agrobiology. So we already have some examples, but we will continue to expand this, working with other partners to kind of supplement the materials that we already have. Another important area that I recently learned about is the domain of astrobiology. And while astrobiology and in general, omics data and astrobiology have been around for quite some time, the recent advances in space exploration, right, the commercially available flights, the hype around maybe exploring Mars and sending people to Mars or sending people to space has really, I think, fascinated a lot of students, has really provided an opportunity to talk about some of the challenges. How do we actually explore space on longer flights? What is needed and what kind of studies are needed today to understand the dangers and the methods to kind of overcome some of those challenges with microgravity, with radiation, with all kinds of effects of space flight that maybe we need to think about before we can plan out some of these longer missions. I think it's a very interesting domain. And so today we will hear from some of the experts and some of the people that represent the student community that are working together to ask questions and use publicly available data sets to be able to kind of explore this whole topic. Now, all of these specialization tracks require some practical and basic training as well. And so one of our missions as a company is to really provide an opportunity for anyone coming from a life science background or coming from a kind of an engineering technical background to be able to get involved in such studies. And so as a result, we've designed basic modules that are specifically designed to introduce the domain of bioinformatics, or the integration between biology and data. And we have modules on genomics, transcriptomics, metagenomics, epigenomics, and practical exercises in data science skills. And so I think that what we are trying to address through these modules is to really kind of address the gap that we see in this field. And one of the things that we've learned is that there is a gap between the ability to generate data and the ability to analyze and use information that comes out from that data. And that gap has multiple different challenges, right, that we heard about today already. Data annotation, availability of data, availability of tools, so many different things. But the specific thing that we see that is of the biggest concern is the ability to analyze this complex data. And so as a result, we are now working with universities to really address that gap by providing the missing elements from what we see as the missing elements in that kind of a curriculum. So those missing elements include mentorship from experts in the field that are available through the kind of guidance and oversight of project development. We see a gap in infrastructure so that anyone can analyze larger and more complex data sets independently. And of course, there's a need to work together with faculty to align such training with the needs of different domains and different types of departments. And so that is really what we're working on right now. And so we haven't just started now, but we've done several different pilots to validate this approach and this technology. We've done a number of pilot programs with the Louisiana Biomedical Research Network, kind of hosted at the Louisiana State University. We've worked with Georgetown University, where we've worked with the systems medicine program, where they kind of talk about the clinical applications of bioinformatics. And we've worked with international universities like the Amity University in India, where they have a number of programs in biotechnology that really need the bioinformatics training, not as a core subject, but really as a subject that could be implemented as a part of the standard biotechnology training. And so in today's webinar, in today's sessions and tomorrow's sessions, we will hear from a lot of these programs about lessons learned, how does this work well? In terms of where is this going, where is the need in the future for this kind of a domain, and also how can we prepare the students not only to know what they need to know today, but also what kinds of skills they will need in the next 5 to 10 years, when they will become the leaders of bioinformatics. And so we have a lot of interesting participating organizations that we will hear from today, that we already heard from some of them up until now. And of course, we are looking forward to today's sessions and also tomorrow to hear about not only what you can learn from some of the training that we provide, but also to get a degree in this area, in this field. So to summarize, OmicsLogic is a program that is designed to enable independent research guided by mentors and peer example. And we are excited to see that we have over 10,000 students learning in different programs that we have. And we expect this number to continue to grow as the need for bioinformatics is expanding. We see a need to kind of develop this growing community by partnering with other organizations and with kind of establishing local chapters. And so that's why you heard today from our team in India, from our team in Africa. And we want to hear from all of you if you are interested to expand this network as well. And our ultimate goal is to enable students, clinicians, and faculty of all backgrounds to develop novel and independent research projects using latest technology in life and data science. So really combining them together. And one of the things that we will finish off with today is we will speak about some of the future programs that we are designing that I think are changing the nature of bioinformatics. As you probably all know, there is kind of this shift in terminology, for example. Up until now, bioinformatics was seen as this niche domain. And I think that with the advances in data science and the need for data skills in other areas, bioinformatics is now kind of being rebranded almost as a data science for biological data. And so one of the things that we're developing is a comprehensive curriculum designed to kind of address this change as well, where we have upcoming programs on data science for big data and for data skills. That includes statistical analysis and machine learning, kind of addressing the challenges in experimental design and technical validation, for data mining and finding meaningful patterns and associations in complex data, and to apply this to systems biology studies. So the way that we typically do this, to tell you about the format, is really pandemic ready, right? So one of our goals is to make this as a bridge between what people can do asynchronously and what happens in a typical university setting. So we can adapt and kind of integrate modules on different types of omics data, different types of specialization tracks, different types of levels, from very technical to more conceptual, and kind of provide some interactive sessions with experienced mentors that can guide students to apply these skills in a meaningful way. And I think the biggest validation that we see for this work is in the completed projects. So not only do we think that the training, the technical skills are needed, but ultimately the proof is when somebody can apply some of the skills that they have learned to a real interesting project.